The system of Eastern Germany was before the fall a communist society. This was a massive difference with a capitalist West Germany. What may be one of the biggest differences though is probably the many state-owned public buildings. Today we will head into two of those now fallen buildings. One was for rehabilitation and the other one was for amusement. Join us and discover the decaying world of the fallen DDR. During last summer we did our first big road trip. This time we traveled to Eastern Germany to discover the many remains of the former DDR. During this 5-day road trip we came across the most epic locations. From secret Soviet bases to beautiful ornate castles. Our adventure started just around the former border of East Germany, in the beautiful Harz mountain region. In this region, many forgotten buildings are located, some abandoned for decades. We will focus on one though, in this region. After driving for a while, we finally got there.
Was gibt's da? Das ist ein kleiner Flinder. Flinder.
Yeah, well, enough looking at butterflies. Let's finally head into our first real DDR building. Our first one is a former sanatorium, surrounded by thick vegetation. Finding an entrance wasn't that difficult, fortunately. Within a couple of minutes we came across our first open window.
Een ingang. Zo, het stukte van de vliegen.
Inside darkness, mixed with a musty smell, could be found. The level of items was also not spectacular. But in the lacking amount of items, you could notice a completely different time though. In the old papers you could find old DDR terms, like VEB, which was the name for collectively owned businesses. Around the corner a rather dead surprise was awaiting us.
Ah jongen, dat is... Mokergoor!
A dead animal. I don't exactly know which kind of animal it was, but it sure added to the atmosphere. Finally, we came across probably the most iconic room of this place. Like you could read on the door, it was the electroshock therapy room. The cool thing with this was of course the old equipment. In its heyday, this wasn't always a medical building, by the way. When it was opened in 1901, it functioned as a hotel. Like you can see here, it was quite a place back then. Moving into the pre-war years, into the DDR times, the function of a hotel seemed to become less logical. So with the final completion of the Iron Curtain, this hotel was finally transformed into a clinic. The clinic began specializing itself in orthopedic and rheumatic illnesses. Let's head further though, deeper into the decaying clinic. At the end of some hallway we got into what looked like the main lobby, which was decorated in a typical East German style. And it was all covered in an advanced state of decay. But it was lacking stuff though. It mostly was silent, desolate rooms. When standing in the lobby I came across Mark.
Wat hè?
He wanted to give me a tour of something I haven't seen yet. And that was the dark cellar.
Oh wow, dit is wel echt nice.
In the cellar, probably the coolest part could be witnessed.
Klaar voor?
Ja hoor. Oh, een bad. Oh, wauw. Huh? Wat is dat dan?
And that was the old hermetic ward. Filled with all kinds of old equipment, this was truly a cool highlight. This ward wasn't the only cool part though, because the hydrotherapy section was also located here. But let's head back to the history on this place. What exactly was the reason it closed down? Well, after the fall of the Iron Curtain, many places like these really didn't make any sense anymore. So, in 1997, it was closed down permanently. When heading out, it had become dark again, so it was time to find a sleeping spot.
Oh. Zo hé.
Well, we were once again back on the road. This time we went deeper into the former DDR. Located in a small village lays this rather grand structure. With a neoclassical style, we really had to know what was inside here. We will begin our adventure in the cellar. Where you could already tell it was quite an old building. But let's not waste time here and head up to the first floor. Upstairs, the beautiful site of decay could once again be found. The atmosphere here truly breathed a different time. The function, by the way, of this building was an inn/cultural space. We will shortly tell you more about the full history of this place. First, let's enjoy our surroundings. The classical architecture, combined with a great decay, made this place truly a near serene experience. But the real highlight is yet to come. And this highlight is the fact that this inn features a big ballroom. It truly was a sight to be seen. The origin story of this grand building started in 1901. At this time an old brewery was thriving in this small village. So much that it decided to build a very own hotel for the customers. When the war started though, the brewery was bombed, which meant an end to that. The inn survived the attacks though, and after the DDR was finally established, it was decided to transform this building into a house of culture. This meant it was repurposed for cultural spaces, for local activities. In its heyday, art and theater were held here. But just like the clinic we have visited before, it also had to close down after the wall fell. Which meant this building has been decaying since 1989. It was time to go upstairs though, into the former hotel rooms. Heading into the rooms, stunning details could be found. It somewhat was a desolate reminder of the glory days of the brewery. It wasn't all beauty though. What was also noticeable was the massive collapses. Many rooms were filled with the old roof. With this find, we will also finish our explore of this grand inn. Next time on Forgotten Buildings, we will visit a large abandoned grand castle, which was filled with the most stunning architecture you can imagine. And we will head into a radium miner sanatorium.